Working on the weather. Now, back in the days of wagon trains and gold rushes, many people were leaving the Midwest to live in California. They had heard the weather was beautiful the whole year. The soil never got to dry. They thought they could plant crops and never worry they would die from the heat. The summer of 1849 was so hot that even now in the Midwest, 150 years later, it is called the Great Heat. To add to the troubles, at the beginning of September, it began to rain. It rained for the next month straight. The problem was that when the rain got close to the ground, the heat turned it to steam. The steam did cool enough to turn into fog, though. The country was covered in fog. The fog was so thick that the ranchers could not see to give their animals water. It didn't matter, though. The animals just drank the fog right out of the air. Farmers weren't so happy, however. The sun couldn't get through. The seeds didn't know which way was up. They grew down into the ground. Febaldson decided to fix things when it came to the weather. He ordered some fog scissors from London. They know their fog. Unfortunately, the English sent them on a slow boat. Febald didn't get the scissors until Thanksgiving. Febald finally got to work. He cut the fog out of the air in strips. He laid them down along the roads. That way they wouldn't drown the fields. After a while, the dust covered the roads. You couldn't even tell where Febald buried the fog. Everyone was excited at the time. However, many mail carriers in the middle of the country have whispered Febald's name in anger ever since. Every spring, even today when it rains or thaws, the fog comes leaking out of the ground. It turns country roads into rivers of mud. There's also another problem here in the Midwest. Sometimes there is just not enough rain. The next year, in 1850, there was a terrible drought. The sun shone for weeks. There were no clouds to cover the people in Nebraska. Febald was annoyed because he loved fishing. It was too sunny and hot to sit and wait for the fish to bite, so he decided to make some rain fall. He collected all the wood and dry grass he could find. Then he went from lake to lake. He was building the biggest bonfires you've ever seen. He thought if he could get the fires really hot, they'd make the water in the lakes evaporate and form clouds. Soon there were many clouds in the sky from all the water rising out of the lakes. They bumped into each other and the rain began to fall. Once Febald started the rain, it rained regularly again. The only problem was that the people on the plains had nowhere to swim since there was no water in the lakes.